never do this in the morning. In this video, I'm going to tell you the 7 mistakes you make when you wake up in the morning. And this video is for everyone, for those who are diabetic, but also for those who aren't. You also need to control your blood sugar levels. High blood sugar in the morning, even if you're not diabetic, already increases your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke, also known as a cerebral vascular accident, CVA. It's very important to check these values first thing in the morning and not make any of these mistakes, which are extremely common. You're probably making at least one of them, so write down these 7 points so you don't forget and avoid making any of these mistakes. Your blood sugar control will improve. These are tips that have scientific backing, and I'm going to tell you about them. Values. What are the good morning blood sugar values for people with diabetes and for those without diabetes? Did you notice that I said you need to keep this under control too? So I'm going to tell you all about it. Let's start then with the 7 mistakes, the 7 things you should never do again. What are these mistakes? Mistake number 1 is not eating fiber in the morning. When you wake up, it's very important that you eat a source of fiber because fiber helps control your blood sugar levels, gives you more satiety, and benefits your gut. So in the morning, it's really important to eat fiber. And how much fiber should you have? I'm going to suggest 2 types of fiber here that are really easy for you to find. They're cheap and very simple. The convenience is really high here, which are chia and flaxseed. But what is the right amount? What would be an adequate dose? First thing in the morning? 1 tablespoon, a level tablespoon, is enough for you to get the amount you need. You'll also be getting healthy fats, and you'll lower the glycemic index of your breakfast. What is the glycemic index? It's how much that food will raise your blood sugar. And it's really important to control that first thing in the morning. It'll help keep things stable throughout the day. The studies are very clear. People who eat fiber in the morning have better blood sugar levels. Are you eating any fiber in the morning? A lot of times I talk to my patients, and often the answer I get from them is no. They don't eat any fiber, and when I check their blood sugar levels, they're elevated. Those are numbers that put them at risk. A risk that doesn't even need to exist. And a lot of times, as I explain here, I'll even respond to this comment. I always like to reply in writing, but sometimes when it's a really common question, I answer with a video. And in every video where I'm talking about controlling diabetes, high blood pressure, triglycerides, a lot of people say, oh, that's the doctor's problem. The doctor's the one who needs to know that. Not me. Why do I have to know? But of course not, guys. The one who needs to know is you. You need to know the best tips, the best habits to take care of your health. This is a mindset from years ago when many people didn't have access to information. You couldn't just watch a video on the internet, for example. But that's changed now. You need to know and learn these tips. Learn about diseases, not just keep taking medicine. Oh, because the doctor has to know. He said I have to take this medicine. That's a really outdated way of thinking. Let's change that, okay? Fiber in the morning. That's the first step. Don't make this mistake, okay? Don't skip eating fiber. If you don't like the seeds I mentioned, can you eat oats since that's also a fiber? The answer is, if you're watching your blood sugar levels, it's better not to, okay? Most of what makes up oats is sugar, carbohydrates. You're gonna digest it, and your blood sugar levels will go up, okay? Oats by themselves don't cause diabetes, they're actually very healthy. But for people with diabetes, if you're already monitoring your levels, already concerned, or if your blood sugar is high, it's worth choosing the fibers I mentioned here, all right? And you can also eat foods that contain fiber. Naturally, a fruit, for example, that has a lot of fiber, like raspberries or strawberries, you can choose those. You'll already be getting a good amount of fiber that will help you throughout the day. An apple with the pulp, with the fiber, for example. That's the first step. The second mistake, which is this one here, and I don't want you to make it either, is not having a set time to wake up. Having a set time is very important for your body to understand what part of the day it is. In the morning, when you wake up, your body produces a bit more cortisol. That's normal. You don't need to be afraid of cortisol. There are a lot of videos out there saying that cortisol is bad, that it's going to harm you, that it's a stress hormone, and that you should avoid cortisol at all costs. That's a big lie. Cortisol is good for your health as long as it's at ideal levels. And if you have a set time to wake up, your body is able to produce it properly. If you don't, then yes, things get messed up. Everything gets all out of whack, to put it simply. It just makes everything harder for your body. So have a fixed time to wake up. If every now and then you miss a day or two and can't wake up at that time, that's okay. That's not what's going to cause problems. But in your routine, on most days, you need to have a fixed time so your body understands which hormones it needs to produce, the circadian rhythm. Naturally, cortisol levels start to drop. As the hours go by and night comes, it's really low. If your body doesn't get this, it could be a problem. So, yes, there are a lot of people who say that cortisol is the stress hormone, that it has to be really low, otherwise, you could get diabetes because of it. But it's much more complex than that. It's not just like, oh, I'm stressed today, my cortisol went up, so now I'm going to get diabetes. If that were true, everyone would be diabetic, almost everyone. So, let's have a routine. Your body will understand, will process things better, produce hormones more efficiently, and it will be very beneficial. This can contribute to higher blood sugar levels. There was a study that found people who didn't have a set schedule or who switched things up, like working at night and then sleeping at night the next day, their bodies couldn't make sense of it, and they had a much higher chance of developing diabetes over the years. And mistake number 3, what about this one? You can't make this mistake either, which is not having a source of protein in the morning. Protein can be milk, yogurt, dairy products. It can even be a slice of low fat cheese, eggs. There are several sources of protein you can add in the morning, right after you wake up. This will also help you feel full, prevent you from eating before lunch, and avoid that you get really hungry and end up eating something sweet. This will help control that and will also lower the glycemic index of your meal. The foods I mentioned are beneficial foods, so add a source of protein. Do you remember when I talked about fiber and mistake number 1? Here, it's harder for me to give you an exact amount. You always ask, should I eat 1, 2 eggs, 3 eggs? That will depend on each person. Imagine there's someone who has twice the weight of another person, has twice the muscle mass. So this calculation of how much you need to consume, what you should specify, the exact amount will vary a lot. But if you add a source of protein, you'll be doing something really great for your health, and it will help stabilize your blood sugar levels. That's if you're diabetic. If you're not diabetic, if you're taking care of your blood sugar, it's still really worth it. I see that a lot of people don't do this. I'm saying that many end up underestimating the effect of protein in their diet. Many, in fact, consume less than half of the protein they need. And in the long run, that has a lot of consequences. And mistake number 4 is also something you shouldn't do in the morning, which is consuming sugary foods. Even if you're diabetic, even whole grape juice or orange juice, even if it's fresh squeezed juice from the fruit, it can still be a natural orange juice, but it can be an overload of carbs, of sugars that you don't need at that moment. So avoid sugary drinks, chocolate milk, ready-to-drink beverages, and coffee with sugar. I suggest that in the morning, you avoid drinks with a lot of carbohydrates. Each medium glass of orange juice contains about 6 or 7 oranges, and grape juice, it's even more concentrated. It's better for you to eat the grapes or the orange because then you get the fiber. If you drink the juice, many people think that's better, right? Oh, so eating the fruit is something else, right? Juice is something else entirely. If I just drink the juice, it's less, so it's better, right? And the answer is that this less means it has less fiber. So it's not worth it. Avoid drinks that have sugar, and when I say sugary drinks, I mean drinks that have a lot of carbohydrates. It's not just about drinks where you add sugar yourself, like coffee with sugar, which I also suggest you avoid, okay? So do that. Pay attention to drinks here because you'll also be doing something good for your health and you'll greatly improve your blood sugar levels. And mistake number 5 is about sleep quality and sleep duration. If you're not sleeping well, at least the minimum amount, the chances of having higher blood sugar levels are very high. There's a situation I want to draw your attention to here, which is obstructive sleep apnea. But what is that? What a complicated name, right? I'll explain it in a really easy way to understand, which is this. During sleep, your oxygen flow gets interrupted. Oxygen can't get through, air can't come in and oxygenate your tissues. You can't breathe properly, and many times you'll wake up feeling like you're suffocating. And it's not just a feeling, you really will be out of breath. This really messes with your blood sugar control and your blood pressure levels. And even your cholesterol, did you know that? And your triglycerides too. This sleep issue is really important, so I suggest you ask the people who sleep in the same house as you. Or if you sleep alone and you wake up with that feeling, then you need to seek medical help to see if you have obstructive sleep apnea, because that's one possible cause. Just look, this alone can cause diabetes. You could end up with diabetes even if you do everything else right. If you don't take care of this sleep issue, your blood sugar levels can go up a lot, and it will be very hard to control high blood pressure. Diabetes, too. If you don't look at this cause that's behind it, okay? And what's the minimum number of hours? At least 6 hours. If you can get 8 hours, that would be ideal, but 6 hours is already very good. And on top of that, your sleep needs to be restorative. You wake up feeling energized and pay attention to this sleep issue as well. There's a test to check this, which is called a polysomnography. If you suspect something, you can talk to your doctor about getting this test because there is treatment. And this is something you can address and improve your whole metabolism. And mistake number 6 is about hydration. A lot of people don't drink the minimum amount of water they should. And if you're dehydrated, your blood sugar levels can also rise as a way for our body to compensate. That's why drinking water, drinking fluids, helps your body work better. If you're dehydrated, your brain can also confuse the signal for thirst with the signal for hunger. You'll end up eating more if you have high blood sugar all the time. And if you've ever had to go to the emergency room because of this, what was the doctor's first action? It was to hydrate you. Most of the time, unless there are some contraindications, that's the standard procedure, because just by doing that, we can buy some time. The body can start to recover, and then, yes, we can think about the right treatment. So hydration is very important. At least 1 glass of water in the morning. A medium glass of water will already help you stay hydrated. Did you see what I said about juices? So swap them for water. And if you don't drink anything, rethink that. Why? A lot of times, drinking liquids before bed is tough because you'll keep waking up to pee. But in the morning, there's no excuse. You need to drink at least the minimum amount of water. This will also help control your blood sugar levels. And number 7, our last mistake, is not knowing about your blood sugar levels. What are the values? It's really important for you to know. You need to know so you can tell when your levels are good and when they're not. Don't just rely on your doctor. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video? So I'm going to put a chart here and make some comments about it. There's a difference. This is for those who have diabetes, who already have the diagnosis, and for those who don't, okay? For those who are monitoring their levels and for those who aren't. If you're not diabetic, ideally, your values should be up to 99 milligrams per deciliter. I'm also going to put these values here in millimoles per liter. You can see that the chart shows both. And after eating, ideally, your level should be up to 140, 2 hours after the meal. Alright, that would be considered a normal value. But if I have up to 140 or 120, for example, isn't that a high value? A lot of people ask about this. The answer is no, because it's normal for blood sugar to rise after a meal. There's no need to be afraid of that. The concern is when it's high all day long, you can't control it, or it's just high. For example, when you're fasting, you haven't eaten anything. But right after a meal, that's normal. It's logical. It's natural. Deal? And for those who are diabetic, who already have the diagnosis, this value changes a bit. When you wake up to 130 milligrams per deciliter. I'll also provide the values in millimoles per liter. You can see them there. And after a meal, the limit would be up to 180 milligrams per deciliter or 10 millimoles per liter. Deal? So you need to know your body to understand which foods raise your levels and which ones don't. It's very important to have this knowledge. This also really helps the doctor make more accurate decisions. From 0 to 10, what score would you give this video? If it's a 10, I'll make more videos like this one. Don't forget to write your city, okay? I'm speaking from Porto Alegre. I want to know which part of the world you're watching this video from. Now, I'm going to leave a recommendation for you to watch. It's a video where I talked about the best foods for people with diabetes. What are the best foods for you to eat in the morning? Did you know? There are foods that are excellent, and there are foods you should avoid. If you watch this video, you will gain a lot of knowledge, such important knowledge that can really help you control your blood sugar levels. Take care. See you next time.